Jazzcast Pros.
Many women are surviving life, showing up for everyone else while feeling deeply disconnected from themselves. But what happens when a woman finally stops abandoning herself? What if the body has been holding on to pain the mind has tried to forget? And could healing your relationship with pleasure completely transform the way you show up in life? In today's deeply raw and transformational episode, we're joined by Katie Scanlon, a woman's sex coach and shamanic practitioner who believes healing goes far beyond mindset work. Through holistic practices like energy healing, nervous system regulation, self pleasure, and reconnecting with the body, Katie helps women cultivate safety within themselves, heal trauma, and rediscover their feminine power. This conversation is explicit and for adult ears only. So let's tune in and dive in because perhaps it's exactly the conversation so many women need to have. Welcome to Healing Her Within, where inner healing meets unstoppable power. This podcast is for women ready to stop shrinking, heal their inner child, and rise into their true selves. I'm your host, Maryann Rivera, and here we have real conversations about healing, growth, and reclaiming your voice. You were never broken, you were becoming. So take a breath, settle in, and let's begin from the inside out. Today we have an amazing friend, sister that I met last year during an amazing retreat that we will talk about. So please tell us your name and a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Katie Scanlon. Who am I? Oh my gosh, that's always such like a big question. But I'll simplify it for you guys. So what I do for my career and how I serve my community is I am a women's sex coach. I'm also shamanic practitioner, shamanic teacher, Reiki teacher, all of those titles. And so I do a lot of different things. I can help women, develop their healing abilities. I also help women heal sexual trauma. So yeah, there's a lot.
Awesome. Amazing. Yeah, some really good stuff and things that for me personally have a little bit, been taboo. And I know that you probably have heard that before and experienced that from other people. As women, we're not taught to talk about, our sexuality, to tap into our feminine side in different ways and things like that. And then also, especially for individuals who have experienced sexual, abuse and things like that, it's like a big no and things like that. So let's start there. Let's start, just breaking down a little bit as to what you do and what led you down this path.
I think I'll start with what led me down this path. I have had a long history of sexual trauma. I also grew up in a very religious Catholic household. My parents were very strict, and I grew up with a lot of, conditioning around my sexuality and, growing up with, hearing shame around sexuality. So my relationship with my sexuality was always kind of like, I was always somebody who was sexual, but also there was always a lot of shame connected to it. So it was hard for me to experience pleasure. And then, it got to be a point after experiencing a lot of sexual trauma, I had pain in my, I'll call it yoni on here, just in case there's censorship. But yeah, I had pain in my yoni and I really struggled with it, like I went to a gynecologist, I went to a pelvic floor therapist. I was seeking out support and trying to relieve this pain, but nobody could really help me. I went to a pelvic floor therapist and they told me just to put pressure against the pain in my yoni, and that really didn't do anything. So for about 6 to 7 years, I was celibate and I just disconnected because I didn't know what else to do, right? And so in my healing journey, I was going through shamanic training to become a Peruvian trained shamanic practitioner. And it was learning these different ways to work with shamanic technology. And I started to learn how to relieve the pain in my yoni. And then at the same time, I was also attracting teachers around my sexuality. And I started learning practices because I was somebody who growing up, I would always have sex with other people, but I didn't know how to touch myself. There was a lot of shame connected to that. And so it wasn't until I was like 25 years old where I actually did a self-pleasure practice. I masturbated. And so through my healing process, I was able to really connect to myself and my body in a way that I never have. And I started to learn how to do self-pleasure as a healing modality, as a way to release tension, as a way to release pain, numbness in my yoni, and to open up more pleasure. So, but yeah, I've studied the Reiki. I've done Reiki trainings that helped create safety in my nervous system in order for me to even get there, because cultivating safety is a huge part of sexual healing. And so there's a bunch of different things along the way that has contributed to me healing my own personal sexual trauma. And then when I started attracting teachers, it was kind of like spirit was kind of like, okay, it's time for you to share what you're learning, to share the practices that you're doing so you can help other women heal sexual trauma.
I love that. One of the things that we do talk on here is about different healing modalities.
I think you're frozen.
All right, hold on one second. Let me. Okay, so we were talking about healing modalities, and you talked about, self-pleasure is one of those ways that we can use to heal. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And like you, even though I wasn't raised Catholic, I was raised in a Pentecostal legal household, talking about sex, talking about especially, self-pleasure, masturbation. That's like a big no-no. You are going to the pits of hell. That was how I was raised. So when you started tapping into, learning and connecting with your body, did you receive any, like anybody that was close to you and they found out about it? What did they think or say? And how did you overcome that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a very distant relationship with my family, actually. We're decently close, but I have a brother and, my mom and dad. My brother actually went to school to be a Catholic priest.
Oh.
So he I don't think he knows, to be honest.
Okay.
But like we don't talk very often. And then my mom is the person I had that conversation with. And to me, so when it comes to like these conversations I have with my parents, what I've noticed is really important is for me to be confident in my truth and to hold the highest timeline, because a lot of times when we go into these difficult conversations, sometimes we can shrink down or think of all the ways that the conversation can go wrong. So it's really like how you set the energy, how you set the conversation. So how I told my mom on the phone, I was like, Mom, you're going to be so proud of me. I am a women's sex coach, and I'm now helping women heal sexual trauma. And then she started asking questions. And then, she was like, so how are you doing this? And I'm like, I do it through touching myself. And she was like, can you share more? I'm like, okay, if you want to know more. And so I explained to her, like, if you bump your elbow into something, what do you naturally do?
Ouch. Hold it, touch
it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you go to hold it, because if you don't do it, then it's kind of like it just gets worse. So like touch is so healing. We all have healing hands, okay? And so I basically like explained to her that process of, bringing our attention there, sending healing energy just with our intention to connect with it is so incredibly healing. And I explained how there's different ways that we can release tension and pain in the yoni. And so just explaining to her the benefits of it,
Yeah.
I think helps her to understand, because if you don't touch yourself, if you just avoid it entirely, it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay there. So it's, I teach what's called yoni massage, learning to massage yourself. And so I think that's can be kind of helpful for some people, is really like being confident, and like it's how you speak to them really matters, and really like, you're going to be proud of me,
Right.
like really setting the tone for them too. And she was like, oh yeah. And she was like curious and asking more questions. And she was like, okay, wasn't expecting this, but all right.
And that's beautiful because, like you said, you went into the conversation with confidence and very matter of fact, not, I'm thinking about this, or I don't know, how you're going to take it. It was more of, this is what I'm doing and the reasons why.
Mhm.
So when you started, getting into the practice and learning and just connecting more with your body, what were some of the changes that you noticed?
I mean, so I call it a self-pleasure practice because it's a practice. Different things show up for each practice. It's kind of like a yoga practice. Sometimes you get a good flow going. Sometimes
Yeah.
your mind's going crazy, So like different things would come up through the practice, as I was massaging my breast. When I started out, they were very numb. Like I didn't experience much pleasure. And though there's certain breast massage techniques that I teach that literally will clear trauma out of the breast, because the breasts are connected to the heart. And so by doing certain breast massage practices, you can literally start to clear that stagnant energy. And so through this practice, you can experience numbness, and numbness is a sign that your body doesn't feel safe enough yet to process what's inside. It's not all love and light. It's not
Yeah.
all rainbows and sunshine doing these practices, because this is like really deep healing work. And so learning to connect with your body, there's different sensations. Some people experience pain, and that's a sign that there's unresolved emotional energy that needs to be processed. And then there's other times where it's pleasure and it feels really good. So, every practice looks different. To this day, I've been doing this for 4 years. Like I'm still crying and releasing energy from my body. And so what these practices can do is, as you cultivate safety within yourself and as you connect with your body in a very conscious, loving way, you start to, release some of this emotional energy. I cried so much, when I started doing these practices, because there was so much stuff in my heart, so much stuff being stored in my yoni. And so it's deep work, but the practices that I teach, I really create a safe container, and they're guided self-pleasure practices. So it's kind of like a guided meditation. And so I really set the tone for safety, and we do protection, we do grounding. And so we go really slow. And so, but yeah, so as you connect with your body, and as your body starts to release some of this stagnant energy, your body just feels more open. You start to feel safer in your body. You start to feel more pleasure. When I started out with breast massage practices, like I said, it was like numb when I started out. And now it's like I can literally have a breastgasm, like a breast orgasm, just by massaging my breasts.
Oh.
Because before, there was just so much repressed energy. There was so much stuff being held in my heart that pleasure wasn't accessible right away. And so that's what a lot of women experience. So if pleasure isn't accessible, that means there's stuff in our body that's holding on to it. And so, yeah, so as you do these practices, it's a practice, it takes time, but over time you're going to be able to release, trauma. Our bodies hold our conditioning, sometimes beliefs, cultural conditioning. And so that can really, impact our ability to experience pleasure. So over time, as you do these practices, your body opens up, and it feels so juicy. Like sometimes I'm just breathing and I'm just like, it feels so good. Like, and before it hasn't always been like that,
So
sometimes it's like I feel like I can have an orgasm just by breathing.
Wouldn't that be the dream? No. what does your life look like before and after? Like what are some of the things that happen when there is, stagnation in your body, when you're stuck and things like that, versus when you're starting to move the energy and things like that?
Stagnant energy creates dis-ease in the body. And so you see like women who have, ovarian cysts, certain vaginal health issues, and that's a result of stagnant energy in their yoni. And so that can really, impact our ability to feel good in our body. It can, like, it has so many impacts on how we can walk in our life when we have these imbalances. And so yeah, it can manifest in so many different ways, this dis-ease. But by doing these practices, and everybody's healing journey is unique. Sometimes these self-pleasure practices are powerful enough for people to heal. Sometimes we need other modalities too. And so it's really, listening to your intuition and allowing your intuition to guide you to, the right modalities to help bring healing. But when you start working through these issues, and when you start healing, and when you have a really committed practice, whew, it's like you're a powerhouse woman, but you know it, and you feel so good in your body. Like for me, like I and my younger versions, my goal, like I am my own goal, like when I was younger,
Yeah.
like I would have, like, if my little me would be so excited to like meet me and like step into who I am right now. So you have more confidence, you feel safer, you feel better setting boundaries. It's you just glow differently when you have like a really deep relationship with your body and your yoni, and you learn how to honor her. That is one of the most beautiful gifts that you can give yourself. Yeah. So way more confidence, way more radiance, way more. You just, you glow. You walk differently.
Yeah. So I've heard that, and I've seen like on social media and things like that, like there's a connection between, the energy and wealth and like business, how you show up and things like that. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So what we're talking about is our sacral chakra. Okay. So our sacral chakra is connected to our womb. Our womb is how we create and give birth. This is how we give birth to the manifestations in our life. It's through our womb space. So not only are we birthing children, right? We are also birthing our reality. And so this is why womb healing work is very important. The self-pleasure practice can really support that, because you're able to manifest a lot easier when you have a clear energetic womb space. But a lot of women have trauma, fear, a lot of conditioning, repressed emotions, physical dis-ease. And so that can all impact your creative channel to create the world, create your own destiny for yourself, So, does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Okay. It does. Makes a lot of sense. So what would you say, because you are the expert in this area, what are some do's and don'ts when it comes to your yoni? Some things that you should and you should not do.
Oh gosh. Okay, so let's see. I think the biggest, most important thing that I wish every woman would start doing is practicing consensual sex, whether that's with your partner or with yourself. And so what that means is before you put a vibrator on, before you touch yourself, before you put a jade egg, before you have sex with your partner, tune into your yoni. Ask her, what do you want? Do you want this? Because a lot of women are just putting vibrators on themselves when their vulva is like not wanting that, So I think practicing consensual sex with yourself is one of the biggest things you can do to actually cultivate sexual safety within yourself, because when you have boundaries, your yoni starts to open up. It starts to trust you more, so you can experience more pleasure. So always check in with your yoni, before you do any type of penetrative stuff. So like with you're working a jade egg, ask your yoni, do you want this? And like you have to honor her no. If she says no, then you can't do it, or else it's almost like you're violating your like it's like a boundary violation with yourself.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the most important things that you can do for your yoni is, checking in with her. Do you want this? Yes or no? And you can even ask her questions, like what would it take for it to be a yes? Like what do you need?
Yeah.
So,
and it's important that when we're
yeah.
asking these questions that we also pause to listen.
Yeah. So before I even like go down there, so I usually like to start with the breast massage practice, and before I even go down, I'll check in being like, okay, what do you want? Is it yes or no? And if it's no, then it's okay. And even to this day, 4 years in to this practice, sometimes my yoni just doesn't want it.
Yeah.
Some days, and you have to honor it. So, yeah.
So you mentioned the jade egg. Now,
Yes.
excuse my naiveness here. I've always been afraid that it's going to get stuck up there.
That's a lot of women's fear. Okay, yes. And so what I will say is you have your cervix, and so it won't get stuck.
Okay.
And there's a string, we use not string, we use floss, and we attach it to it, and we tie it good. And so you can pull it out. And so sometimes it does happen where the floss has broken, at least for me. But it's like all you need to do is like take a little bowl and like do a little push as if you're like gonna pee, and it'll come right out.
Okay. Okay. I feel like I'm a high school kid.
That's always like worst case scenario. You can always go see a doctor, but I've never had somebody have to do that.
Okay.
I've never seen somebody have to do that. So, but yeah, you usually can just push it back out.
That's good.
It comes right out just like that.
Oh, okay. And what is the purpose of it?
Oh yeah, so it's actually probably one of my most powerful sexual healing tools that you can use. And I like to say that it's similar to what's called sensate focus. And so that is a really well-known sexual therapy technique where you practice bringing your awareness into your yoni. But usually that's done in a clinical setting.
Okay.
And so the jade egg is it's a very similar benefits of it. So what it does is it allows you to, when you put it in your yoni, you practice bringing your awareness to that jade egg. So a lot of people don't bring their awareness to their yoni, So it's a great practice of one, bringing awareness to it. And then also it helps resensitize the yoni, because a lot of people's yoni can be desensitized, whether they're having just like a lot of like rough sex, or it's just holding on to pain and trauma, because our yoni is yin by nature. So we literally absorb like cultural beliefs all in our yoni, we hold a lot of stuff in it. And so if anybody feels like they don't feel very much in their yoni, if you want to resensitize it, the jade egg is a really great practice. And then you can do, squeezing patterns on it to build up pelvic floor muscles. That's really great for it. But I say it's like rocket fuel for your pussy. Like it just enhances everything. It's been one of the most powerful tools, honestly, in my sexual healing journey. The way I teach women to make sure they have all the tools they need for it, so it doesn't feel scary, so they feel confident stepping into the practice. But yeah, it really helps just bring awareness there, and it helps you to feel more pleasure in your yoni.
Okay. Awesome. So something that I have been personally curious about, but I have not tried it yet, and we'll see, depending on what you say, what your recommendations are. I may or may not. What are your thoughts on vaginal steam baths?
Love it.
Okay.
Love it. So what I love about it is it's so gentle and so nourishing for our yoni. Okay. And a lot of our yonis have been through some stuff and it's
Yeah.
holding on to stuff. And so, there's a lot of benefits to it. So what it does basically, for those of you who are not familiar with it, what you do is you sit over a bowl of steaming water, and you can add herbs to it to add extra medicinal purposes to it. And you take your pants off, and then you sit over the bowl. There's many different ways that you can do this, but you sit over the bowl with steaming water, and then the steam comes up and warms up your yoni and all the tissues and all the muscles in that area. And so the benefits of it is it basically helps create more circulation. It helps detoxify. So if there's any residual energy there, whether it's from someone's period, it's going to help it come out either on the next cycle. But yeah, it's very rejuvenating. It also can work with the chakras, the energy centers, at the root chakra, sacral chakra, and solar plexus chakra. People have used it. It's most oftenly used for postpartum healing, or that's what it has been traditionally in the past.
Okay.
But Western medicine today would not
Right.
recommend yoni steaming. But I'm telling you, it's probably one of the best things you can do after giving birth. You can do it for like 30 days, and that's what it's going to do. It's going to help lift everything up, and just really bring this nourishing energy to it. But yeah, it's very gentle. Do you have any questions on it specifically?
I'm definitely going to be trying it. So can you do it on your own at home, or should you go to like some spa thing?
I've actually never done it at a spa,
Okay.
but that would be amazing, I feel like. But you can definitely do it at home. Yeah, there's so many different variations. Some people get like a yoni steaming stool or something to sit on. Like I sit over a bowl. Other people will actually use their toilet or use some type of chair where they can sit over comfortably. And if you use a toilet, obviously there's like, you have to be mindful of bacteria and like there's a certain way to go about that if that's the way you want to go. So yeah, there's different options. But yes, you can definitely do it from home.
Because I went to a spa in Virginia, Maryland, somewhere out there. And it was kind of like a day spa, but it was really interesting. I had a full body massage and body scrub. And this woman scrubbed body parts that I didn't know were okay to be scrubbed. And they also had the option to do the yoni steaming. But I wasn't running late, but I was being mindful because I had to go catch a plane. So I didn't do it. But you're walking by, they have like the men in one section, the women are in a separate section. And there was a room, and I think it was probably about 4 or 5 women that had robes on, and they were sitting, and they had the robes draped over them, and they're just sitting there. And I was like, I want to do that. So maybe I'll go back and try it.
I think you should. It's very rejuvenating. It's very I like to just meditate. You can do different types of meditation practices, and you can set an intention for it. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to, heal sexual trauma? Do you want to increase more pleasure? Right? Because that can do that too.
Right.
So yeah, be intentional about it. I would sit with it and be like, what does my yoni need?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Healing Her Within. I hope today's message spoke to your soul and reminded you just how powerful you are. If you loved this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a sister who needs it, and leave a review so more women can find their way to healing. And remember, your healing is your responsibility, but you don't have to do it alone. Follow me on social media at Maryann Rivera Dannert, and be sure to visit MaryannRiveraDannert.com. Until next time, keep healing, keep rising, and always honor the woman you're becoming. This is Healing Her Within, and girl, we are just getting started. And one last thing. This is a disclaimer. The information shared in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and it's not a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. I am not a licensed therapist or counselor. If you're dealing with mental health or emotional challenges, please seek support from a qualified professional or a licensed counselor. Have a beautiful day.